Baz, let's talk a little Champions League. It is the final coming up. What do we like? What are we getting down on? Give us the skinny.
Yeah, so we've got Dortmund coming up against Madrid in the Champions League final, sort of bringing down the curtain on the football season over here. Sorry, soccer season. On my show, I can talk about whatever I want. I can talk football rather than soccer. And I've had to tailor all my odds to make sure I'm in American odds as well for you.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Thank you. Sean prefers that.
Yes.
Yeah, so we've got Dortmund v Madrid, the sort of curtain closer, and there's not long before it all starts up again. We don't have much of an off season here because we've got the Euros coming up as well. But Dortmund v Madrid, Dortmund plus 400 to win this in 90 minutes. Madrid minus 162 and the draw at plus 330. So those are your money line odds, 90 minutes odds. Remember, in America, if you take those prices, you've only got 90 minutes. You've got to win it in regular time. It doesn't include the overtime. The odds to lift the trophy, Dortmund plus 250, Madrid minus 330. I think for me, I'd love to see Dortmund do it. And I think a lot of soccer fans across the world would love to see Dortmund do it because of the underdog here. And I think a lot of people have got a soft spot for Dortmund. They're just a club that's easy to like, massive fan base, really sort of great place to go watch football. I went to Dortmund a few years ago with the boys and had a day at Dortmund for a game. And one of the best experiences of my life as a football fan, soccer fan. But I think it's going to be a step too far for them. Madrid are the most successful team historically in this tournament. They've won the Champions League 14 times now. The next best in that list is AC Milan with 7. So they're miles ahead of anybody in terms of the history of this tournament. And it's not just going back, years and years that in recent history, they've made 6 of the last 10 finals and they've won all 6. They get to the final, they just don't lose. So yeah, Madrid it's just a big step up from the competition Dortmund have taken on so far. We start with PSG in the last round for Dortmund was a solid result. But beyond, PSG struggle in the later stages of this tournament anyway. And this year, they struggled in the earlier stages. So not quite the same level of opposition as Madrid, who have had to knock out Bayern Munich and Man City along the way. So looking at the form in the tournament so far, Real Madrid have had to really beat some of the big juggernauts of European football, whereas Dortmund haven't quite had that.
But Dortmund has an American.
Oh wow! Should have led with that. I'm a sucker for a good underdog story. Dortmund,
not only an American, Sean, the American that got kicked off the team, but it turned out the U.S. coach was a piece of shit.
Oh yeah.
And then the dad got involved, Gio Reyna. So I don't know if you want to root for America, Sean. You should be aware of that tidy fact.
The mom got involved too, right?
Yeah, it was a whole family affair. You got to realize I'm deep in the youth sports streets.
Yeah.
He's not even involved at the moment. He's been at Nottingham Forest in the Premier League this season, and he didn't set anything alight in the Premier League this season. He's on a downwards trajectory. As
don't say that.
So not trending in the right direction. So Baz, I assume. Do you just take Real Madrid in 90 minutes? Is there a prop you like? Do you figure out a spread bet? How are we making money if we're gonna take the favorite? I've
got a couple of things. I think I like Real Madrid as a pick, but they're minus 162 on the Premier League gambling podcast. We don't put out picks at minus 162.
No,
so we've got to try and find a way of getting you closer to plus 100 is what we'd always try and do on our show. So that's where I've gone. I think Madrid will win this. One other angle to come in at is goals. In these Champions League finals, there's not a lot of goals around. The last 4 straight finals have been 1-0 victories. The last 5 have all gone under 2.5 goals. They can be cagey affairs. And if Madrid do get ahead, there's nothing in Madrid's form to suggest they're going to go all guns blazing and try and blow anyone away by any big score. So you can take Madrid, tag on under 4.5 goals, and get you plus 100. So I think that's the way I'd go with it. Rather than take the minus 162. I'd tag the under 4.5 on. I just don't see it going anywhere near that number.
So what you say? So Madrid under 4.5. So that's like an alt number then.
Yeah. So we put it in as a bet builder. I don't know how you do it over there, but you can normally tag on whichever line
Yeah.
you want, I think, over there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
you-
You can
you get
definitely
that
parlay
close.
this guy.
Gotta get the slider out. All right, so we got Madrid and the under. Let's see. It does feel a little boring. I will say there is another reason to potentially root against Dortmund.
What's that?
If you type if you look up their logo, Sean, you'll understand what I'm saying. But it's a B, a V, and a B. It reminds me of something else that you know. So yeah, I think we're on Madrid.
Okay,
We're on the under.
I don't mind.
You're coming with takes,
Barry. What do we just take the under 2.5 for the game? I'm seeing that at plus 115.
Oh,
what about and then if Dortmund shocks the world, I can still celebrate. Under 2.5 in 90 minutes feels like it makes sense to me.
Absolutely, I wouldn't talk anyone out of that. We put our main show out on this last night. Malcolm's main pick for the show was under 2.5. You could even like under 2.5 and both teams to score no. So that's, one team not to score. That comes in at plus 170, I think. But the under 2.5, I think, is a solid pick. I would have Madrid down here as winning this 1-0, 2-0. I don't see it going much further than that. So I think the under 2.5 is a real live pick as well. The thing with Dortmund, I would love to see Dortmund do it, but at plus 400, they're up against a team in Madrid who have now gone 47 games since they last lost a game in any competition, which is pretty astonishing, really, because you get towards the end of the season, they won the league by 10 points. And a lot of teams will drop off because they're resting players, and you tend to get a couple of defeats at the end of the season when things are wrapped up. 47 games, a long, long time to go without losing. I wouldn't want to be on Dortmund at plus 400. It's just not big enough for me at all. But the unders is definitely live as well.
What about in the 90 minutes? What if I'm getting crazy playing draw at plus 310? Maybe that's how Dortmund shocks the world, by just getting it to extra time, as you guys say.
I mean, that plays into the Madrid undefeated, because that would still be Madrid not losing the game in 90 minutes. I think if Dortmund are going to win it, possibly that's the way they do it. I just don't see it. The big thing for Dortmund is they've got this massive stadium. It's one of the biggest atmospheres, biggest fan bases in the world. They get 80,000 people in every week, despite the fact they're not, the biggest team who are winning trophies every year. And that's, a lot of the earlier rounds of this tournament, you play two legs. You play one at home, one away. They don't have that now. This is a neutral venue, and taking that away just sort of weakens them a little bit for me.
You are describing them as a scrappy underdog, which is tempting.
Well, let's break it down.
I'll just stick with the under 2.5.
Who are the English going to root for? It's being held at Wembley, I believe.
Okay. Not the Spain. It's not the
Spanish or the Germans. The Germans.
I think the Germans. I think everybody. I think everybody wants Dortmund to win. If you're not a Real Madrid fan, I think you want Dortmund. It's the underdog narrative, and as I say, the fact Dortmund they're a club who can compete with some of the big guns, despite not having the same sort of budget. They don't go out spending £100 million on players and things like that. And they've produced a lot of good players over the years. A lot of players who've come through their team: Haaland, Dembele, Gundogan, Pulisic, Aubameyang. The Dortmund team is notorious for bringing great players through and selling them on for big fees, but they don't spend a lot of money bringing it in. But they're still able to compete. And I think that's why a lot of people would have them down as their second team, possibly, in a team you would root for in this final.
CJ, anything you like jumping out at you? I know you're a guy who fancies
action.
Yeah.
I'm just looking up lacrosse glossary terms. I can't jump in there right now. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think we all agree.
I've got some stats picks as well. I've got a little stats pick I like, a little prop.
Oh, great!
Yeah, prop. And I've also got
some props. I know you like the corner kick stuff. What you got? Any kind of crazy stuff for us?
If I knew CJ was on, I would obviously dig a bit harder to try and find a ladder. I did look for a ladder today. I did look for a ladder opportunity today, and there was nothing that jumped out of it. You can't force these things. You've got to, it's got to be, the time's got to be right. The corners, nothing jumped out at me, but there was something I liked in the shots on target market. And the obvious one people will look to from the Madrid side is Vinicius Jr. He has more shots on target, more goals than anyone for Madrid across the season. But if you look at it closer and look at just in this competition, he's behind Rodrigo for shots on target. They've both scored the same number of goals. And I think there's better value on Rodrigo here. And his form in this competition's good. He's had 2 or more shots on target in 7 of the last 9 games in the Champions League. And you're getting over 1.5 shots on target for Rodrigo at plus 225. I think is a really good bet. I think he's only failed twice in 12 games to get a single shot. He's almost guaranteed to get at least 1 on target. And the 2 looks fairly good. It's a good price at plus 225, I think. And just a little step up the ladder. We'll take 1 more rung. I'm not prepared to go too much further, but over 2.5.
Full step ladder. Okay.
Step ladder. We'll take over 2.5 shots on target for Rodrigo. That comes in at plus 800.
Woo.
A decent shout for that. And he's done that 2 or 3 times in this competition already this season. So plus 800 doesn't look too bad. But yeah, whilst everyone looks at Vinicius Jr., we're going to look at the opposite side and look at Rodrigo and get a little bit of better value out of it.
Get the scones off the shelf with the step ladder.
If you're please
get the tea kettle. Someone put the tea kettle on top of the
1.5 shots on underdog is spicy. So feel free to pop up. There's a nice menu. I was shopping hungry over here.
Shout out to underdog. Shout out to Barry. Appreciate you calling in, Barry. Any parting words? Of course, follow Barry on X at ToonBazza, TOONBAZZA, and of course subscribe to the Premier League Gambling Podcast. Any more picks before we let you go here, Barry?
One last one, and it's because Malcolm was on the show a few weeks ago and he came out with a 20-1 winner. I don't know how he's done that because he doesn't do that on our show.
Yeah.
If you throw enough shit at the wall, eventually something's going to stick, and that's what's happened with Malcolm. But I'm determined. I'm going to beat him this week. So I've got something better than 20-1. I've gone 25-1 here.
Ooh.
Real Madrid money line. Rodrigo to score anytime. We've got Schlotterbeck for Dortmund to get a yellow card, and Kobel, the Dortmund goalkeeper, to have over 2.5 saves. We'll get that in at 25-1. That's a little bet builder for the game as well.